It's fine. Hello, Miss Carla. We're going to keep reading Lety Out Loud by Angela Cervantes. My parents are listening to the end of the governor's press conference. She's answering questions right now, so it went a little bit long today. Hopefully the sound from in the living room doesn't interfere. Charlie, no, come here. Charlie. When Charlie gets anxious, my cat, when she gets anxious, she scratches things. And she's anxious a lot. She's a very stressed out cat for some reason. I don't know. I can kind of understand. Sometimes I get stressed and I don't really know why. Okay. Oh, look how much we've read so far. All the top part is what we've already read, and the bottom part is what we have left to go. We're more than halfway now. Quite a bit more than halfway. We're on chapter 18, Barrel of Dog Food. This is page 126, and this book is less than 200 pages long, so we are getting through it. As soon as Letty arrived to the shelter, she typed up Lorca's profile and emailed it to Dr. Villalobos for his review. She hoped he'd like it so much that when she approached him later, he'd support her new idea. That morning, she had practiced what she thought were her best points. Having ELL students read to the pets would help to socialize the dogs and cats. It might also bring more people to the shelter. If needed, Letty was prepared to do a demo for Dr. Villalobos and read to one of the cat burritos. She was confident she could convince him. She was on her way to Dr. Villalobos' office when she spotted Hunter and Mario exchanging a high five in the hallway. Hunter wore a big smile and seemed happier than she'd ever seen him. It stopped her in her tracks. When Hunter saw her, his smile faded. Mario grinned from ear to ear. "Contest is over! Hunter gets the win!" Mario shouted. Letty let her shoulders drop. "Charlie, come here." Letty let her shoulders drop. She frowned and then remembered that if Hunter won, that meant Brooks, the tuxedo cat, had found a home with a family. It was awesome news, except that now she wouldn't be able to write any more profiles. "Brooks was adopted?" she asked, and the two boys confirmed with nods. "Yep," Mario said. "You lost." "But you don't have to scoop dog food in the pantry," Hunter said. "Yes, she does." Mario turned to him, shocked. "That was the deal. She agreed." "I know, but things have changed," Hunter said. "What things?" Mario asked. "Everything." Alma's voice rang out as she walked up behind Mario and Hunter with Dr. Villalobos and Kennedy at her side. They must have heard the entire conversation. "Did you tattle on us?" Mario said to Kennedy. She rolled her eyes. Dr. Villalobos waved off Mario's charge. "She didn't do anything," Dr. V said with a gentle voice. "Hunter and Letty, could you come with me to the clinic to talk?" Letty felt hot all over. She wanted to cry, but a knot as thick as rope formed in her throat. She could barely breathe, let alone cry. Hunter looked no better. Both of them dipped their heads low as they walked behind Dr. V toward the clinic. Inside Dr. Villalobos' office, Spike was cuddled up on Dr. Villalobos' chair and lifted his head to bark at them as they walked in. "Spike is back," Letty said. She rushed to him and gave him a few kisses on his muzzle. Spike quickly returned the kisses. "Sweet boy," Letty said. She was so happy to see Spike. She almost forgot why she was in Dr. V's office in the first place. Dr. V pulled out 2 chairs. Spike followed her as she sat down next to Hunter in one of the chairs. Spike lay down at her feet and gnawed at one of her shoelaces until Dr. V made him stop with a short whistle. Dr. Villalobos leaned against the edge of his desk, stretching his long legs in front of him. Who wants to start and tell me about this Shelter Scribe contest? Letty started thinking of what she should say, how she should apologize. Her mind raced to process the right words in the right order, but Dr. Villalobos took her silence for not wanting to answer. Okay, let me tell you what I know. You two can correct me if I get anything wrong. Both of you wanted to be shelter scribes, but you didn't want to work together. Instead of going at this project to help the pets, you decided to make a contest out of it. Dr. Villalobos said. So far, so good, right? Letty and Hunter nodded. Somehow, you decided that the contest would involve strange, complicated words in every profile. Words like rambunctious, supersonic, colossal, and my favorite new word to describe sunsets, cerise. Hunter glanced at Letty in disbelief. How am I doing? Stop me if I'm wrong. Letty nodded. I'm on the right track then, he said. What I still haven't figured out, and what Kennedy would not tell me, was, what was the contest for? What does the winner get? Hunter shifted in his seat and looked at Letty again. I can tell him, okay? Letty was relieved that he was willing to speak because the knot in her throat was not disappearing anytime soon. Then again, for a second, she worried he'd blame her for everything. She wasn't sure she could totally trust him. The winner gets to be the only shelter scribe. The loser has to join the food pantry heroes to scoop dog food into bags. Dr. Villalobos closed his eyes and nodded as if it all made sense to him. Let me get this right, he started. Our animals here at Furry Friends were just part of a contest for you both? He let the question float above the room. Letty wanted to pluck it from the air and tell him no. She never wanted the contest. She just wanted the chance to be shelter scribe. She loved the animals and was happy even when one of Hunter's dogs or cats were adopted. It was really me, sir, Hunter said. Letty couldn't believe her ears. Hunter was taking the full blame. I didn't want to share, and I didn't think Letty could write very well. I pushed for the contest because I thought I could beat her. I don't understand. Why didn't you think Letty could write very well? Hunter shrugged. Letty knew that shrug. It wasn't an I don't care shrug. It was an I don't want to say the words that might hurt someone shrug. It's because at school I'm still learning English. 3 years learning, Letty said. Really? I had no idea, Dr. V said, his voice as tender as kitten whiskers. Your writing is just as good as our first shelter scribe's. I've caught a few misspellings, but that's it. He turned his gaze to Hunter. She proved you wrong, eh, Hunter? Hunter nodded. Yes, sir. Then he glanced at Letty. I was off the mark. I'm sorry. Letty felt like her heart would explode with joy. Hunter Farmer had just apologized to her without an adult telling him to do it. Dr. V caught her shy smile and smiled back. He rubbed his chin. You actually remind me of Gabby, he said to her. She was a superb writer, and she connected with the animals. She also stood up for herself. I bet you just wanted a chance to prove you could do it, didn't you? The knot that was crammed in her throat loosened. Tears formed in her eyes. It felt good that someone understood, especially because it was Dr. Villalobos who believed in her. She let out a few sniffles, and Spike jumped onto her lap. He licked her chin a few times, and then settled himself on her lap as if he was saying that he was on Team Letty. Wow, Dr. Villalobos said. Spike doesn't want you to be sad. I don't either. I think I understand everything now. Letty wiped a tear streaming down her cheek and gave Spike a kiss on one of his ears. Dr. Villalobos gazed down at the floor for a long time. Letty watched him, wondering if he was trying to decide their punishment. Please, don't kick us out like you did with Gabby, Letty blurted. I really love writing for the animals. I don't want to be kicked out either. My grandma paid a lot for this camp, Hunter said. Wait, what? Who told you that? Dr. V asked. One of the other campers, Hunter explained. Dr. Villalobos shook his head slowly, but Hunter continued. That's why she's not volunteering this summer. I wouldn't kick anyone out unless they were maliciously hurting our animals, Dr. Villalobos said. Gabby loved the animals. She was deeply connected to all of them. They weren't a game or a contest to her. Letty felt a pang of guilt. She wanted the chance to tell Dr. V that Spike was not a game or a contest for her. Gabby made a wrong decision. It was a misunderstanding. She thought she was saving a cat's life. She's not here this summer because she went to visit her mom. I would never kick her out, and I'm not going to kick you guys out either. Hunter exhaled hard, as if he'd been holding his breath the entire time. Letty felt relieved as the lump in her throat disappeared. I have to know you can work together and that you are here to help the animals. Our animals are not a contest. They need real families and homes. I'm sorry, Dr. Villalobos, Letty said. I want to help the animals find homes. I really do. Telling the truth was like a cool breeze on her warm face. She hoped Dr. Villalobos believed her. Spike gazed up at her with his brown eyes and barked as if saying he believed her with his whole heart. Dr. Villalobos chuckled. Spike and I believe you, Dr. Villalobos said. But to ensure that you both have learned a lesson, you two will help out in the pantry. Mario and Kennedy will join you after I've had a chance to talk to them later today. But it was just me, Hunter rushed to say. It really was me, no one else. I know they were just as much part of the contest as you two. They'll join you. We have the Wags and Whiskers Community Fest coming up, and we're giving away 500 bags of pet food. For the rest of your time here, you can help with that. And I still need more profiles. Please get started on profiles for Riley and Alice. Deal? Letty and Hunter nodded. Drop the fancy words. Focus on writing wonderful profiles. Our furry friends deserve that. You guys can go straight to the food pantry for now. They're expecting you. Letty grabbed Spike into her arms and kissed him one more time. She placed him down on the ground. She turned to leave with Hunter, relieved that they weren't being kicked out. Letty, Dr. Villalobos called out to her, your profile for Lorca is your best yet. Thank you, she said, glancing down at Spike. She hoped Dr. Villalobos saw that regardless of the contest, she was definitely fit to be Spike's forever family. You found a way to use supersonic? Hunter asked as they walked out of the clinic. Letty nodded. I was wrong about you, he said, and shook his head. Really wrong. Letty didn't know how to respond, so she remained quiet as they walked side by side to the pet food pantry. Chapter 19, Long Gone. While all of the other kids watched a demonstration about canine dogs outside, Letty and Hunter stood over a large barrel full of dry dog food. They wore aprons and oversized yellow rubber gloves. Letty and Hunter went to work fast, barely saying anything to each other. Soon the only sound in the pantry was Letty and Hunter's constant scooping and filling of plastic bags. Letty wasn't sure where things stood with Hunter anymore. She still couldn't believe he'd apologized to her, but now he didn't even look at her. She wondered if he felt guilty for, as he said, being off the mark about her. She wanted to break the silence between them, but wasn't sure how. The last time he'd spoken more than 10 words to her was when he was talking about his dog, Gunner. Yet she knew Gunner, for some reason, was a sad subject for him. She wasn't sure she should bring it back up. She thought back to the day that she saw him outside, waiting for his ride from the shelter. You live with your grandma? Letty asked. I do now, Hunter said. You didn't before? Hunter shrugged and was silent for a few seconds. It's because my parents got divorced, Hunter said. My mom, me, and my little brothers moved in with my grandma because my dad refused to leave our house. Letty's mouth gaped open. Sorry, that sounds bad, she said. It is bad, and it keeps getting worse, Hunter said with a scowl. What do you mean? It's my dad doing what he always does, Hunter said with another shrug. He kept my gunner because he was mad at my mom. Then a couple of weeks ago, he gave Gunner to my Uncle Steve in Wichita. He didn't tell me or anything. He said he was tired of my mom getting after him about returning the dog to us. He said it would be easier for everyone if he just gave the dog away to someone else because we didn't have any money. But he's the stupid reason we don't have money anymore. And I didn't... Hunter's voice trailed off, and another familiar shrug followed. Letty dipped her scoop hard into the dry dog food. Didn't what? I didn't even get to give her a kiss goodbye. That's awful. Can you get her back? I don't know. What? She's your dog. You have to get her back. I know, but what happened was that my grandma called my uncle and asked him to return Gunner to us. He said he took the dog to a shelter. He said Gunner was tearing things up in his house. Hunter shook his head, like he was shaking off the memory of that conversation. The thing is, Gunner never tore things up at our house. She's a good dog. I think it's because she didn't want to be with him. She wanted to be with us. She missed you, Letty added. That's why she acted up. Hunter nodded in agreement. I think that's what it was. Anyway, my uncle says he doesn't remember the name of the shelter, so my grandma is calling as many shelters as she can during her breaks at work. My mom is calling too, but there are a lot of shelters in Wichita. Letty searched for the right words to say to Hunter. His story made her stomach twist. It was the worst story she'd ever heard. It felt almost as bad as the man yelling at them in the store. That is why you were staring at Sawyer. You miss your dog. Every morning, Hunter said, his face turning crimson. I think of her every morning and night because she used to sleep in my bed with me. Before I went to bed, I'd read a story to her and my little brothers. We would tell her, choose a book, Gunner. And she'd take a book from the shelf with her mouth and bring it to us. Drove my mom nuts, but she was super smart. Letty wondered if that's why Hunter was such a good writer and reader. He was reading books every night to his dog and baby brothers. When I wake up and think of her, I wonder if she wakes up thinking of me. Do you think dogs do that, wake up and think of us? Yes, I do, Letty answered, as tears started rimming her eyes, just thinking of Gunner far away, maybe in a cage at some shelter in Wichita, wondering when Hunter was going to show up and take her home. I bet Gunner thinks about you and smiles in her own doggy way. You know how dogs stretch their mouths back and kind of pant like they're laughing? Oh, yeah, she would do that all the time, Hunter said. I bet that is what she is doing right now at that shelter. She knows you're looking for her and smiles. Hunter was silent. I hope so, he said finally. Anyway, that's why I'm here. My grandma enrolled me to get my mind off of my dad and Gunner, and I know this will sound bad, but the contest with you sort of helped. Letty nodded. I understand. I knew it was wrong, I really did. My mom and grandma say I've been a pint-sized jerk lately. Letty let out a laugh, surprised that Hunter would admit being called a jerk. And I was thinking, Hunter continued, you should write all of the profiles from now on. Yours are way better than mine. Letty's mouth dropped open in shock. Hunter chuckled. I mean it, he said. I've been thinking yours are better. I almost quit after reading your profile on Kenzie. No way, Hunter shook his head. That Chicharito profile was really good, especially the way you tied it in with soccer. Mario liked it too. He just won't tell you. Thanks, Letty said, wishing so much that Kennedy and Brisa were there to hear everything. I liked your profile about Kenzie and Brooks. Those are two of my favorites. So what should we do then? Can't we just keep sharing them? I'll take Alice, the poodle, and you can take Riley. Works for me. I can't wait to see what you come up with next. I see barrels and barrels of pet food. That's what is coming up next. Hunter laughed. I do have an idea for another project here at the shelter. Do you want to hear it? For sure, Hunter said. Letty dug deep into the bucket of dog food. She'd never imagined that a bucket full of beef-flavored dog food would bring Hunter Farmer and her together on the same side. She spent the rest of the morning telling him what happened to her and Brisa at the store, and her idea to get Brisa back to the shelter and help all the furry friends find their forever homes. By the time she was done explaining, Hunter said he'd help. That is, if she wanted his help. She did. Chapter 20. Letty's Big Idea. The next day, Hunter and Letty faced another full barrel of dog food when Kennedy and Mario trudged into the pantry wearing aprons and oversized yellow rubber gloves. My hair is going to smell, Kennedy whined. This is gross. You can wear this shower cap, Hunter said, pulling a transparent hair cap out from his apron pocket. Letty giggled, knowing that Kennedy would be annoyed at his silly offer. Yeah, right, Kennedy growled, pulling her long, wavy hair back into a ponytail. After a few seconds of watching, Letty showed them how to scoop pet food into bags and then tie the bags. Kennedy went at it like there was gold at the bottom of the barrel. This ain't a contest, Kennedy, Hunter said. What? She asked. Speaking of contest, Mario and I talked with Dr. Villalobos, and we decided that you deserved an apology, Letty. Letty glanced over at Kennedy and Mario, confused. For what? She filled a bag with pet food and tied it. I was all crazed poodle about this contest because I was still mad at Mario. I shouldn't have encouraged it. You know how I am. I just wanted Mario and Hunter to shut up already. Nice language, Mario quipped. Letty smiled at her best friend. It's okay. I know how you are. Kennedy is holding a grudge. She's still mad about the soccer game last year when she touched the ball with her hand to get a goal, and I called her on it. Whatever, Mario, Kennedy said. We still beat your team 2-1. Should have been 1-1. Anyway, the contest was my idea, so I want to say I'm sorry too. I just wanted to help out my boy Hunter because he wanted to be shelter scribe and he didn't want your help. Sorry, Letty. I deserve a yellow card. More like a red card, Kennedy added. Letty stared down at the pet food. She wasn't sure what to make of all these apologies. In English, there were so many ways to apologize. If Letty needed to get through a crowd in the school hallway, she'd say, "Excuse me." If Letty couldn't understand someone and needed them to speak slower, Letty used, "Pardon me?" And if, by chance, she hurt someone's feelings, she'd say, "Sorry." The best part of saying sorry was it was almost always followed by another word she liked, forgive. And forgiveness meant moving on with her friends Kennedy, Mario, and Hunter. She only wished that Brisa would be here, were with her to see and hear all of it. I forgive you, she said. But that's not everything, Hunter added. You're going to tell them? Mario said. He shook his head. This is going to get ugly. He moved away from Kennedy and closer to Hunter. What? Letty asked. What else? We were at Mario's house playing video games, and we came up with all these stupid words for you, even though it wasn't part of the deal we made. We changed the... I knew it, Kennedy said, holding her metal scoop up in a threatening way. You guys changed the rules. Guilty as charged, Mario admitted. That's a penalty for sure. Ah! Kennedy shook her head and angrily dipped her scooper into the barrel. I knew you changed the rules, Letty said. I went along with it because I wanted to win fair and square, no extra help. I'm sorry, Hunter said. I got caught up in the contest. My mom says if I don't sweeten up, Gunner won't want to come home to me. Hunter's voice broke, stopping Kennedy and Mario mid-scoop. Dude, you all right? Mario asked. Hunter shrugged. Letty thought back to every rude comment Hunter had made to her, and in her head she made a list. One by one she deleted each insult and replaced it with each new kind gesture he'd made. The smile he gave her after the rescue team presentation, his apology in front of Dr. Villalobos, standing up for her with Mario about the contest, and now helping her with the new idea. I forgive you, Hunter, she said finally. Again. A smile crossed Hunter's face. I'm going to help get Brisa back to the shelter. If I don't want people to be a jerk to you and Brisa, I should start with myself. Whoa, Hunter, Kennedy said. That's mature. You said your dog was taken to a shelter in Wichita, right? Letty asked. Hunter nodded. Have you thought about asking Dr. Villalobos for help? I bet he knows the other animal shelters there. Maybe you can make a call. Maybe he can make a call and help bring Gunner home. Hunter's brown eyes shined. Why didn't I think of that? He asked. I'd give you a hug, Letty, but I smell like lamb chunks. Who cares, dude? Mario laughed. She smells like lamb chunks, too. We all do now, Kennedy added. Hunter slipped off his yellow rubber gloves and leaned in for a hug, extending his arms wide open around Letty. Mario and Kennedy joined them and made it a sloppy group hug. Letty couldn't remember ever being so happy that she'd given someone a second chance. Chapter 21, Reading for Friends. After an hour of shoveling dry dog food into bags, Letty and Hunter went to see Dr. Villalobos. They found him in the clinic. At his feet, Spike chewed on a squeaky toy. Spike! Letty squealed. Spike padded over to Letty and Hunter. Letty bent down to give him a good pet and a couple of kisses on his muzzle. My favorite dog! She dug into her pocket and pulled out a doggy treat. Is it okay? She asked Dr. Villalobos. He nodded. Is Spike ready to be adopted yet? Hunter asked, passing a sly glance over to Letty. Almost, Dr. Villalobos answered. Letty smiled, thinking of her own family and wondering if Dr. Villalobos had forgiven her enough to let her adopt Spike. So what can I do for you guys? Everything good in the pantry? Hunter and I finished another 50 bags this morning, Letty said. Kennedy and Mario are still scooping away. We wanted to talk to you about a couple of things. What's up? Hunter cleared his throat and told his story about Gunner. He even pulled out his phone and showed Dr. Villalobos a couple of photos. By the time he was done, Dr. Villalobos was on the phone with Daisy, asking her to call the Humane Society. Hunter emailed a photo of Gunner to Daisy. We'll do our best to find Gunner, Dr. Villalobos said. I'm so sorry that happened to you. Thank you, Hunter said. Now it's Letty's turn. She has a really good idea. Talk to me, Letty. Do you remember my friend Brisa? She doesn't come anymore to the shelter. Yeah, I heard it was something to do with her mom being pregnant. Is that right? No, it wasn't that at all, Letty continued. Well, her mom is pregnant, but the truth is Brisa, me, her mom, and my baby brother went to the store last week, and something bad happened. Brisa was translating for her mom at the pharmacy. The pharmacist was speaking Spanish too, and this man in line behind them became upset. He started yelling at them that this was America and to speak English. What? That's horrible. Dr. Villalobos shook his head in disgust. I know, Letty said. It was awful. Afterward, Brisa said she had to focus on her English, so she went back to summer school. But she misses the cats like crazy, and I miss her too. I wish someone would have told me, Dr. V said. Maybe I could have talked to her and convinced her to stay with us at the camp. I would have liked to have helped. You can still help, Dr. V, Letty said, grateful that Dr. Villalobos had made the offer. She took a deep breath and remembered her lines from when she practiced in front of the mirror at home. This whole experience gave me an idea for a program that I'd like to start here, with your permission. It could help lots of kids like me who are learning English and provide company to the shelter pets who spend so many hours alone in their cages. Spike dropped his squeaky toy at her feet and barked twice. Letty laughed. Spike likes it already, said Dr. Villalobos. What if we could devote a morning or afternoon every week for a program called Reading for Friends? For a couple of hours a day, kids like Brisa and my younger brother could come in and read to the dogs and cats. I used to read to my Gunner all the time, Hunter added. She loved it. I'm prepared to do a demonstration for you with the cat burritos, if you like, Letty said. I brought a book. That's not necessary. Dr. Villalobos smiled. He rubbed his chin. I've heard of a similar program at a shelter in Chicago. It's been successful. I like it. Let's do it. Really? Letty asked. Of course. What do we need to make it happen? Letty's head buzzed with excitement and next steps. We need to talk to Mrs. Camacho. She's my teacher. Maybe she can make it part of their summer program? I think she'll agree because she has 2 rescue cats. Woman after my own heart, Dr. V said. Leave me Mrs. Camacho's email and I'll contact her. Seriously, Letty, great idea. Letty and Hunter left Dr. V's office, feeling on top of the world. They didn't even notice that Spike followed them out. Letty and Hunter met up with Kennedy and Mario in the multipurpose room. Each of them agreed to donate books from their homes. If Letty had a tail, it would have definitely been wagging. Luckily for her, Spike was close by and doing enough wagging for the both of them. Well, I think this is a good place to stop. My voice is getting a little rough. So I think we'll stop here. We'll start chapter 22, 1,000 Chances, tomorrow. And we're on page 152. So I'll bet we can finish this whole thing in 2 more readings. So maybe we'll be done on Monday. We'll see. Thanks for coming, and I'll see you all tomorrow.